Our next presenter is Lucy Good. Lucy is currently, this year will be doing the third year of her Bachelor of Advanced Science degree, majoring in industrial and applied maths. Her project is titled Visualising the Structure of Online Discussions Using Multilayer Network Models, a case study of Reddit. This is the second of 3 projects this year that all use a network visualisation as part of their project. So it's good to see that sort of capability being applied across lots of different fields. Her project is being supervised by Ben Yee and Tony Mathew from the Centre for Optimisation and Decision Science in the in the School of Electrical Engineering, Computing and Mathematical Sciences. That's a mouthful in itself. From the Faculty of Science and Engineering, and HIVE support for this project is been provided by Doshi. So over to you, Lucy.
Okay, yeah, so my project was visualizing the structure of online discussions, and specifically Reddit. So everyone talks online. It's the main way that lots of people communicate and share information, and forums like Reddit are widely used for stuff like this. And so if these online conversations are good, they can give us access to more information than we had before. But if they're bad, they can lead to the mass spread of misinformation and the radicalization of individuals. So this is why we're interested in understanding these online conversations, what makes them good versus bad. And so Reddit. It's a very popular online discussion forum where people can create posts or just browse through these posts on the homepage. And each block on the homepage is a post. So if you click on that, it'll take you to the post page where you can see all the comments. And the Reddit forum is divided into self-organized discussion areas called subreddits. And these are dedicated to people discussing particular topics. Now, a conversation on Reddit begins with an original post. And this is posted to a specific subreddit, and it can consist of images, text, links, videos, and other media. And so as people can create comments, they can either respond to this original post, or they can respond to other comments in the discussion thread. Each post and comment has an author, and each post and comment also has this upvote score. This is a system unique to Reddit where users can interact with these comments and posts by either upvoting or downvoting them. And the result of this upvote and downvote is displayed as the upvote score. So our multilayer network model, we use this to show these online discussions as networks. So we start with the discussion layer, where each node is a comment, and each edge is a reply relation. So starting with our original post as the source node, we add a new node to the network as new comments are added to the post. And we add each node into the layer below the comment it's responding to. So as new comments are added, we can build up our network to represent the conversation. We can do a similar thing with the user layer. In this, the nodes are the users, and the edges are reply interactions. So similarly, we've got the original post is done by user A. User B responds to this original post, so we place B below A in the network. And then as each new user creates a comment in the discussion thread, they're added to this user network. Now, this is just 2 distinct networks, so we combine them using interlayer edges. And these point from the users to which comments they're making in the discussion. So user A made the original post, so they're connected. User B made comment 1. And then you just keep adding these edges until you've connected every comment to a user in the user network. The reason we're doing this is deliberation. And deliberation is the idea that people share their opinions in a productive way to reach a satisfactory decision for the majority of people. And so deliberation can occur in interactions between a group of individuals with a diverse range of opinions. And this can create the opportunity for productive debate that can lead to opinion exchange or consolidation in the participants. And so this can lead to people becoming more, understanding their stance better, or becoming more aware of opposing ideas and opinions. Deliberative theory says that not all conversations are deliberative, and that some are superior for decision-making and democratic processes. But deliberative conversations have certain requirements. They need to have an adequate amount of people contributing to the conversation, and this leads to the idea of the representation. And there needs to be an adequate exchange of opinions, and this leads to the intensity of argumentation. And it's very important that social and political topics get discussed in deliberative ways so that people can make well-informed decisions, and this can also lead to a greater participation in democratic processes. And as I said before, a lot of people consume online media. It's the main way that people communicate. So it's also very important that these online conversations be deliberative for the health of society and our democratic processes. Now, what we do to look at deliberation in these online platforms is we use that multilayer network model, and we can use certain metrics to create a quantifier for the quality of deliberation. So we take the discussion network's width and use that as a proxy for the representation of a discussion. So how many nodes were at that level of the discussion network. And then we can also take the discussion depth and use that as a proxy for the argumentation. How many comments were in that thread of the discussion? And then using these, 4 types of conversations have been classified. Type 1, where there's maximum width and maximum depth, satisfies the requirements for deliberation. Type 2, where there's less people contributing to the conversation, but still very high intensity arguments. This can reflect conversations between experts or specialists. Type 3, when there's not many people and not very invested in the conversation. That's, And then type 4 is when there is a lot of people, but there's still not much argumentation occurring. And so the data set we've been working with was gathered in 2023, and it covers 210,000 posts with 20 million comments from across 72 different subreddits. And this was gathered by a student in our research group who also went on to do a comprehensive analysis of these using the multilayer network model and metrics like the width and depth. So we've got a huge amount of data, and while the student's work was a great start, we've still got lots of things to look at. And so this visualization will help us to identify what other things to look at in the data set. For this demonstration and for this presentation and the demonstration on the cylinder later, we'll be looking at the subreddit political compass memes. Now, this is a political subreddit where people make jokes using this model of political ideologies, the political compass. We'll also be showing posts from the Canada subreddit on the Dome display, and this is just a regional subreddit that discusses topics concerning Canada. So this is our visualization. It's a 3D model of online discussions using our multilayer network. And it can be easily generalized beyond just Reddit. It can be used for other online interactions and communications. And so a bit about our visualization. These white nodes on the bottom are the users. And the size of these nodes corresponds to how many comments that user has made in the discussions. The colored nodes are the comments. And the square nodes at the base of each comment tree is the original post. And so when users are connected in the user layer by those white edges, they interact within the discussion. And there's the edges pointing from users to the comments, and that shows which users have made which posts. So this is our visualization. We have our multilayer network model showing the users and comments. And while some research looks only at these user-to-user interactions, Other research also chooses just to look at the comments in the discussion. But this loses some of the interactions between users within the context of the discussion. And while our interlayer edges are vital for constructing the model, they can crowd out the display and cause a lot of visual clutter. So we tend to turn them off for visualization. This visualization helps us to identify patterns in user interactions and see what this reflects in the discussion. We can find users like this one, who contribute sporadically across a couple different conversations. We can also find users like this, who are isolated to only one conversation, but are responding frequently in the discussion thread. And as you can see, they're almost every second comment. We've also got different color schemes. This is our upvote color scheme, where comments with more upvotes than downvotes are colored green, and comments with more downvotes than upvotes are colored red. Using this color scheme, we can identify conversations like this one. All of these comments are green, showing that this is a very consensual conversation with not much disagreements shown in the discussion. We can also find conversations like this, where there is a very significant amount of red nodes. Obviously, this conversation is on a very contentious topic with a lot of disagreements. We also find users like this, who have contributed a lot. But if you look at the comments, the majority of these are red. So obviously, he's not a very popular user. We've also got this color scheme, which is our discussion type color scheme, where each of those 4 types, classified using the argumentation and representation, are given a unique color. And using this, we can see the patterns in the users and how this can relate to the different types of conversations. We've got our type 3 discussions in red, where there's not many people, not much argumentation. And this is reflected in the user layer, where there's not many user nodes, and they're all very small. So they've only made 1 or 2 contributions. We've got our type 2, with the really tall, argumentative conversations. But if we look at the user layers, there's only a few nodes, but those nodes are quite large. So those users are contributing a lot to these conversations. We've also got our type 4 conversations. There's not much argumentation in these, but there's a lot of people contributing. And as you can see in the user layers, there's one central node that's usually a lot larger than the others. And then all the other nodes in the conversation kind of radially around them, but they only contribute once or twice to this conversation. We've got our type 1 deliberative conversations in blue, where there's a lot of people contributing very high intensity argumentation. And if we look at the user layer, there's a lot of nodes, but a lot of those nodes are also quite large, showing that there is a difference in the way these users contribute to type 1 conversations compared to the others. So with our visualization, we can manipulate certain aspects of these conversations, and we can look at the structure of these conversations alongside the user network to see how those users interact within the context of the discussion. We can identify patterns in user participation and identify clustering and isolation in our user network. We can see where there's a lot of users contributing a lot, or a few users who are completely separate from the rest of the discussions. Future works for this project are extending our user selection, which was demonstrated in the video, to multiple users at once. This would allow us to see how certain users interact with each other rather than just how one user participates in the conversation as a whole. Another direction could include animating these networks growing over time. With this, we could see how type 1 conversations evolve and see if there's any difference in the structure compared to the other conversations. Thank you.